Hi Falcons, today we are solving multi-step inequalities, and these notes should be, if you're online, you can find them in today's Schoology folder so that you can print a copy if you'd like, or you can just take notes in your notebook. So the steps for solving inequalities are much like our steps we used when we solved multi-step equations. We're going to use the distributive property, then combine like terms, solve the inequality, remembering to flip the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative number, and graph your solution. And by now you've already covered the graphing, knowing that we use an open circle if it's less than or greater than. You may just want to take these notes so you have it, or a closed circle if we're going to include the number, because we have less than in equal to or greater than in or equal to. All right, so let's look at the first problem here. I don't see any parentheses, so there's nothing to distribute. So I'd go ahead and add 9j's plus 1j, which would give me 10j's plus 12. And then again, you're going to want to show your work on these. We're paying particular attention to your organization in the work that you show. So the next step would be to eliminate the 12. So I'm going to subtract 12 on both sides. And I have 10j is less than or equal to 60. Do the opposite of multiplication and divide by 10. J is less than or equal to 6. So when I go down to graph, I want to put 6 in the middle and put two numbers to either side of it. Okay, less than or equal to, so it's going to be a solid circle. And it's going to go, let me get something colored so that you can see it, to the left, because the numbers that are less go to the left. Okay, why don't you try the next problem and then come back, we'll walk through it with you. All right, so 12b, I'm going to rearrange here so my b's are together. I put my like terms together. Remember, adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So now I have 12 take away 3, which leaves me 9b plus 5. I'm going to subtract both sides. And I have 9b is greater than or equal to negative 36. And then divide by 9. And b is greater than or equal to negative 4. So I'm going to go down here, put a negative 4, put two numbers on either side, remembering that to my right I'm getting closer to 0. It's going to be a closed circle, and greater than goes to the right. Okay, the next set of questions involve the distributive property. So I would take 3/4 times x, which gives me 3/4 x, plus 3/4 times 3, which would be 9/4, is less than or equal to 9. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract the numbers on both sides. And we have 3/4 x is less than or equal to, and in your calculators, you can do 9 minus 3/4. I've got mine off to the side here, or minus 9/4, which is 6 3/4. And then we're going to divide by 3/4 or multiply by 4/3, right? The reciprocal, you could always do that. So 6 3/4 divided by 3/4, which gives me 9. So I have x is less than or equal to 9. Which again, it includes 9, so I'm going to put a solid circle and go to the left. Okay, you try the next one, come back, and you should see that negative 5x, negative 5 times 2 would be a negative 10, is greater than 15. I'm going to add the 10, do the opposite of what you see, and you have negative 5x is greater than 25. Okay, here's where we talk about dividing by a negative. I have to divide by -5, so now I'm going to flip that sign around, and x is less than -5. So we're going to have a -5. And it will be open circle, and less than will go to the left. Okay, so that was the first one we had where we had to divide by a negative. I'd write a little note here so that you see what that example looked like. Flip the sign. Okay, going on to our third problem. This has a little bit of both distributive and combining like terms, so let's go ahead and distribute first. So we have -4x plus 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 1 is 2 is greater than or equal to 23 plus x. Now I'm going to combine the like terms over here, and I have -2x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 23 plus x. Now I see that I have variables on both sides, so I'm going to want to eliminate that. Let's add 2x to both sides. And I have 2 is greater than or equal to 23 plus 3x. Now we would subtract our 23 and put the numbers on the same side, and we get -21 is greater than or equal to 3x. We'll divide by 3. Boy, we didn't have enough room in this box. And I get x is less than or equal to -7. So I'm going to fill in my circle, and less than, you always read from the x, so it says x less than or equal to -7. Okay, if it's hard for you, you can always change it around and know if I rewrite it, then it's a little bit easier for me to read. X is less than or equal to -7. But as long as you remember to always read from x, and whatever's pointing to the x, so this is the smaller side pointing to the x, so it'd be less than. Okay, you try number 3 and come back, we'll check. Okay, so I'm going to add x to both sides to put my x's on the same side, and I have 5x plus 49 is less than 9. Now I'm going to subtract the 49. So I have 5x is less than -40. Divide by 5, and x is less than -8. Less than means I'm going to have an open circle. It's going to go to the left. Okay, make sure that you're pausing to get your notes taken if you need to, and that you have the examples written down correctly. Okay, this is the type of work we're going to want to see you put on your problems as well when you do the practice. So let's look at guided practice, the last one. So it looks like I have distributing to do with just a negative, but we know that's like a -1 that I'm distributing, so I would get -5x, and then a -1 times 11 would be a -11 is less than or equal to 4x plus 17. And 2x minus 5x would be a -3x. I need to combine my like terms. Minus 11. Okay, I want to put my x's on one side, so let's add 3x. That way we have a positive x to work with. I have -11 is less than or equal to 7x plus 17. Remember that your sign comes down with the number behind it. We're going to subtract the 17, and we have 7x is greater than or equal to -28. divide by 7. X is greater than or equal to negative 4. So here's negative 4, negative 3, negative 2. Greater than or equal to, put a solid circle and go to the right. And the last, go ahead and try on your own. Come back to check, and then you should practice. Okay, on this one we have several different places to distribute. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times a negative 3 would be a negative 12x. Minus 14 is greater than or equal to 4 times 2 would be 8x, and 4 times 3 is 12. Minus 9x. Now I'm going to combine like terms on both sides. So the negative 12x stands alone. And then I have 4, take away 14, 10. 8x, take away 9x, is a negative x plus 12. Okay, in this case, let's add x to both sides. We have negative 11x minus 10 is greater than or equal to 12. Then I will add the 10 to both sides and have negative 11x is greater than or equal to 22. Divide by negative 11, so now I got to flip my sign again. X is going to be less than or equal to negative 2. So here's negative 2, negative 1, 0, negative 3, negative 4. Less than or equal, so a solid circle going to the left. All right. You should be ready for your practice worksheet. And when it is also posted in Schoology, if you need to print that off, or you can just write it in a notebook, and then enter your answers into Schoology if you're working online, please. Thank you. Have a great day, Falcons.